Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật.
And we respectfully invite Venerable Thích Trí Hoàng to come up stage and open the conference. Mời quý vị ngồi xuống. Please be seated.
Most venerable researcher and friend in the Dharma. Today, we are honored to welcome you to the AI conference at the Sakya Buddha University. The subject is about the AI and the Dharma. AI is the artificial intelligence. This is a new subject, and I'm sure that it will open a new way, new applicants to preaching the Dharma. The Buddhism and the science is never conflict. With the discovery of the science, it improves the teaching of the Buddha is wonderful and profound. For example, the Buddha, he looked into the universe and he discovered millions and millions of stars. The universe is immense. And now with the help of the science, we could see that. And when the Buddha, he looked into the glass of the water, he discovered tens of thousands of bacteria. And today, with the microscope, we can see that. So the Buddhism and science never conflict. The Dalai Lama ever stated that when the science could prove that the teaching of the Buddha is wrong, we as the Buddhists willing to change that. So you see the teaching of the Buddha and the way of the Buddhist practice is open and acceptable to science. Today, the conference about the AI and the Dharma, that is new, and I'm sure that the researcher will show us the wonderful way to look at it. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you all for participating. First, we would like to express our gratitude to all of you for joining us today to explore the intersection of artificial intelligence and the timeless wisdom of the Dharma. This conference brings together scholars, practitioners, and technologists to reflect on how AI can support the human journey of spiritual practice. It is now our honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Louis Lancaster, an internationally respected scholar of Buddhist studies, renowned for his academic contributions and innovative use of technology in the field. He is a pioneer in applying digital technology to the study of Buddhist texts and tradition, and a trusted advisor to the CEO of Sakya Buddha University. Beyond academia, Dr. Lancaster has been involved in projects like the Buddha's Birthday Education Project, which documents and exhibits the celebration of the Buddha's birthday in Chinese Buddhism. His career reflects a commitment to both scholarly excellence and the innovative application of technology in the humanities. Please welcome Dr. Lewis Lancaster, joining us today via Zoom.
Good morning. Thank you for that introduction. And thank you for the invitation to speak to this conference and to share with you some of my ideas about artificial intelligence and its contact with society and Buddhism. There's been a constant balancing challenge between machines and humans. And we have readily accepted the reality that in certain aspects of our lives, machines are always superior. Our bodies can never be the equal of automotive speed or have the ability to carry heavy loads over long distances like a railroad locomotive, or travel beyond the Earth's gravity as space vehicles can manage. However, our egos have been inflated by the belief that our brains have the abilities to exceed the function of machines. We took solace in the fact that while we cannot lift tons of weight and carry it for many miles, we can write poetry, paint images that match our view of a distant scene, compose music for the human voice, and perform it on stage. Our technology gave support to the idea of brain superiority over machines. For example, by recording the millions of electrical discharges taking place in the human brain at a rate far beyond even the largest computer at the time. But the digital speed began to eat away at this lead. And in this century, we have created machines that outpace us in speed and the amount of data that is processed in a second of time. The computer became the world champion chess player, defeating human masters of the game. And not only that, computers with the power of artificial intelligence began to write poetry, compose operas that are so similar to human endeavors, we have often lost the ability to spot human productions from machine output. When open source AI appeared on the internet, it was the fastest growth of users ever. By the end of the first 2 months, more than 100 million users had adopted it. And the accumulation of data using these technologies and tools is equally spectacular. A new vocabulary of counting has come into existence. Words like terabyte, zettabyte, exabyte have become common in reports of the sizes of data sets. And the numbers associated with the internet are staggering. More than 2 billion bytes a second are being added to it. Major research centers like the Hadron Collider in Switzerland can generate a petabyte of data in 1 second. That's the equivalent of 500 billion pages of printed text. Another example is the Euclid Space Telescope that was launched in 2022. It was sent into space rather than being installed on some mountaintop on Earth. And today, it is in an orbit that is 1 million miles above the Earth, looking at distant galaxies. In the first data received from it, there were 26 million galaxies that had been spotted and counted. And each of these galaxies has hundreds of billions of stars in them. It is expected that the telescope will eventually record and count more than 1 billion galaxies. So, in just as one example, we see that AI-based tools have created far more data than we humans are able to comprehend or analyze without help from a machine. Now, generative AI does not easily give the best or correct information. And one reason for this is the usefulness of data made available from a query that is dependent on the prompting of the user. Good results come from a good prompt, one that is tied to the intention of the user in a manner that AI can understand. So when we give a prompt, that is, when we ask a question, if it's like a riddle, we are asking AI to provide an answer while being figuratively blindfolded because they lack any context. Now, this can be solved by prompting in the same way that you and I might carry on a conversation, where you can reframe your next search as a dialogue with the software. For if we try to force it to give a response beyond its capabilities, it may give it to us, but it will often hallucinate. For example, AI can construct a list of non-existent journal articles so real in appearance that people spend a lot of time unsuccessfully searching for them. But I think such a list is not without merit. These imaginary articles may indeed indicate research areas of research that have not yet been explored, but perhaps need to be explored. So using AI is not so much giving commands as it is having communication. Now, it's difficult to have a dialogue with a computer screen with no sense of speaking to a person. That is why we are now seeing the rapid development and use of bots, where human-like figures are before us. Now, the era of bots has already arrived. There are more bots than humans on this globe of ours. They are providing more information on the internet than is being input by humans. But there are problems. A third of all the automated data is malicious in nature. It contains misinformation that can, for example, be racist or prejudiced with no basis in reality. Software that identifies these malicious and undocumented statements can remove them. But it shows us just how widespread the polymorphic bots have become. For example, in 2024, more than 13 trillion items were blocked by protective programs. And this total is far beyond the manual input capacity of humans. Many of these were produced by bots, and many were blocked by bots. Now, a new definition has been given to the word singularity. In artificial intelligence terminology, singularity is the moment when artificial intelligence moves beyond human control. There are many ways to describe what that moment would resemble and how it could be measured. One of the attempts is to use translation of words. The question is, how long does it take a human to recognize and put into context a word that is spoken? By contrast, how long does it take AI to do the same operation? Now, some callers use the metric drawn from how long does it take to edit AI translations to reach the level of human speech. They found in 2015 it took 3.5 seconds to edit a word in a text provided and prepared by machine translation. But in 2024, the same task of editing, this time for an AI translation, could be done for each word in 2 seconds. And by the end of this decade, it is possible that the translation done through AI will be equal to normal speech, and no editing at all will be required. So at that moment, it will be impossible to say whether we're hearing human speech or artificial intelligence generated speech. Now, it's already the case that images can be generated that are so lifelike, we cannot tell if it's a photo or a digital creation of a person who has never lived. Having reached a point of development that achieves singularity, AI can then take over the internet and make use of billions of data sources to create huge amounts of new data that can amount to billions of times more than what we now possess. How AI is doing this may be indeed beyond our understanding. Well, this moment of singularity is now predicted to be in place at least by 2045. So what does this mean for Buddhism? How can the religious tradition deal with the reality of a world dominated by artificial intelligence? There's no possibility of ignoring the situation where massive amounts of new data will become a reality because of the future ability to have accurate translations of thousands of pages of canonic text plus information about how it operates within social frameworks and history. The view of Buddhism will of necessity have to change. For example, people will be able to discern the shifting of the development of Buddhism over time in a more nuanced fashion. So divisions such as Mahayana and Theravada will give way to new insights that present the agents and elements of the tradition through ever-changing observations. The basic teaching about the lack of a permanent and unchanging self, and the idea that everything changes from moment to moment, will not escape observation. It will be more powerfully and deeply impressed on the notice of everyone. The very structure of Buddhist thought already contains those features that will be essential as people are forced to deal with the shifts that occur with new and massive input of data as well as analysis. I believe that Buddhism is better equipped than many institutions to meet the challenge of AI and the changes it will bring. However, to accomplish this, we must learn how to best present Buddhism to the world and how to more effectively study its complexity within the framework of artificial intelligence. And I believe it is a task that we scholars cannot and indeed should not avoid. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Lancaster. Let's continue our program with our guest speaker, Dr. Howie Lan. Dr. Lan is the tech lead of the Electronic Cultural Atlas Initiative at UC Berkeley. His work spans computational vision, AI, cognitive models, higher education, and large data repositories. With a background in applied mathematics, computer science, and cognitive science, Dr. Lan has spent over 30 years integrating technology with the humanities, especially Buddhist studies. He's contributed to digitize Buddhist texts globally through the Electronic Buddhist Text Initiatives, and later joined with Dr. Lancaster, ECAI, in 1997. His recent work includes multi-dimensional analysis and 3D visualization of Buddhist materials, notably in the Maritime Buddhist Project, tracing the religion's spread across Asia via maritime routes. Please welcome Dr. Howie Lan.
Thank you very much. I want to thank you, Venerable Master, the invitation for me to speak at this event, and also the team and the temple, the warm welcome. Yeah. I know. Okay. So today I will very briefly kind of introduce how the Buddhists study in the new era of AI at this point. So I will touch very briefly in those several areas. One, very important, we need to realize the new AI era is here. So it's inevitable. Everybody will be affected by it. The second is how the Buddhism and the technology will be in this new era. And also later the challenge and opportunity in this new era. So it's not that long ago, in the last month of 2022, OpenAI is a high-tech company, released ChatGPT, which is the very first generative AI system openly accessible to the public. It then very quickly it generated new technical tidal wave in the world and opened the curtain, actually, of the new AI era. And like I just mentioned it, then everybody is facing this huge challenge. And question is, are we going to passively accept it, or should we proactively embracing it? Yeah, in this new era, we can also see the evidence of Buddhism being in the front, actually, embracing the new technology. So that's a very encouraging, right? From the early beginning, which is not too long ago, just a little bit over 2 years, Buddhist communities and academic organizations have joined their efforts together using AI to tackle difficult tasks in different areas. For example, in February 2023, which is just a little bit over 2 months after the ChatGPT release, Professor Lancaster and the translation team of the Foguangshan Monastery met and decided to include the new Gen AI technology in their multi-year ongoing translation project of the Foguang Dictionary of Buddhism. At that time, it's just a very new thing, to people, including many people in the high-tech, area. But Professor Lancaster already, with his long vision, sense that is very important for Buddhism to embrace this new challenge. And also, in the following months, in the late spring 2023, University of the West decided to offer the first course of Buddhist study and AI in the following semester. That's the fall of 2023. And also, our Venerable Master, Tiwin Chow, in 2024 and early 2024, shown his vision, for this new AI era. And later, in the following months, formed a team at this university, the Sakya Buddha University, to start the implementation of the blueprint, so to speak. So today, we can see, this is the outcome of the team. So the AI Dharma robot. So I want to say congratulations. So our robot is, one of the examples of in this category. AI professors can communicate with the learners, even though their machine can be more like the learner's own kind, like our human, right? So with both, at least we can be empowered to make a great enhancement in teaching, in learning, and in learning environment settings. So we can imagine that with some more economical choices of AI options, and the AI Buddhism could evolve faster. So that means, the field we applying AI or using AI can evolve faster by the high frequency of alliteration, because we will have cheaper and more widely available technology and services and all that. So we can develop things faster, right? And improve the means or ways to reduce the negative of hallucination with those solutions. And also, AI professors could be more human-like, with all the new technologies. And so it can be, and also because of the more, a richer, a higher quality of AI Buddhism, so it can provide this much more efficient way to for our learners, as a teacher. So even in the early days, we don't have those not early days. I mean, it's not long ago. Without our real AI Buddhism solutions or AI professors yet, we already can benefit many of the good things from the AI system. So, from the last 4 semesters of classes at US on studies, Buddhist studies and AI, what we find mainly from our students and as well our teachers, we already can sense it's a great deal of a benefit using AI in the study and learning. So, for example, the AI's multilingual, that's the first one. The multilingual capability provides efficient ways for students to find relevant content in their own language. So they become much, much more efficient in terms of doing their research work, getting to be understanding the content and can start communicate discussion among them with their fellow students, as well as communicating with their teachers. The other one is the ability, the AI system's ability to use different levels of terms in a language to explain Buddhism topics, which help people have different levels of understanding of Buddhism. We in our classes, there are students, they are very young, or just get to know Buddhism. And then we have people already very much involved in the Buddhist community and the Buddhist research for a long time. Different people at their different level, with the AI, they can, with the AI's help, they can get many of the help in terms of their own language. For example, younger people, they find many of the response from the AI system in their own language, meaning using the term they are more familiar with. So they can quickly make connections with their own experience and what is being taught in the class and in the Buddhist itself, Buddhist studies itself. Okay. So, of course, there's tons of wishes, meaning people want the AI to provide even more. One of the we find is a very important and kind of a fundamental, is we really wish AI soon can be more, can proactively guide our students, learners, just like a good human teacher would do, to think deeper and also to ask their own questions along the way in their study. So even though right now at this stage AI is already quite powerful, but it's still have a lot to learn from our human beings, at least at this current stage. This is a challenge to us, but also an opportunity in the meantime.
Trình còn dài không?
Yeah. So,
dạ vâng.
Yeah. So this should be the last slide. Yeah. So I believe, or we can believe it too, AI Buddhism and AI professors, those two, since now it's already on their way. This is one good example. And it is a very good leading example, for global education, that wider area, for that wider area. So I definitely believe we are the front runners, and we should be proud of ourselves and continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lan. Thank you for the informative
Cho thầy
presentation.
nói một chút. Thời gian của chúng ta rất là có hạn, cho nên các vị nào có muốn đặt câu hỏi thì sẽ gửi về văn phòng rồi gửi cho giáo sư sau. Còn bây giờ xin cảm ơn giáo sư và chúng ta mời vị tiếp theo.
In the interest of time, because we're running out of time, if If anyone has any questions, please send it to the office and the email at sakyabuddha@vingfakhub.org, and we'll address your questions accordingly. Now we will move on to the next speaker. Thank you, Dr. Lan.
Next, we are pleased to welcome Dr. Gabriel, Chancellor of SBU University. Dr. Gabriel is a visionary scholar at the intersections of Buddhism, artificial intelligence, and ethics. His talks, Mind in Buddhism and AI, explores how emergent technology challenge and deepens our understanding of mind, personhood, and Buddha nature. Dr. Gabriel invites us to consider how AI might reshape spiritual practice and moral responsibility in the digital age. Please welcome Dr. Victor Gabriel.
Welcome, Venerable Masters, esteemed Sangha, and dear guests. Yes, thank you. Namo Buddhaya. So as you have heard earlier, the presentation from our keynote, Dr. Lancaster and Dr. Howie. So we are at a juncture of AI development. And in the speakers that will be presenting to you, you will hear some of the speakers do an overview of AI and Dharma, and other speakers will dive into a certain aspect of AI and Dharma. And in my case, I'm giving you an overview. Okay, so next slide. Yeah. So we return to this passage from the Dhammapada. Both the received tradition, that means Buddhists, and scholars believe that this is the earliest strata, or one of the earliest strata of the Buddhist teachings. And it reads, mind precedes all mental states. Mind is their chief. All are mind-wrought. If with an impure mind a person speaks or acts, suffering follows. Suffering follows him or them like a wheel that follows the foot of the ox. So this is a passage we will return to again and again in this discussion of AI and Dharma. So, in the era of rapid technological advances, artificial intelligence, AI, is no longer a distant dream, but an integral part of daily life. From medical diagnostics to predictive analysis and autonomous vehicles, AI systems are reshaping human existence. As this transformation accelerates, questions arise, not just about the technological and ethical implications of AI, but also its theological or dharmalogical or Buddhist dimensions. How does AI challenge traditional notions of Buddha nature, mind, and personhood? Can machines ever be said to possess moral agency or spiritual value? This paper, or this talk, explores the interdisciplinary intersection of AI and mind in Buddhism, examining how religious thought interacts with technological innovation and how Buddhism might respond to the challenges and possibilities that AI presents. Yeah. So next slide. Yeah. So this slide is about the possibility. There's all these fanciful notions of AI, crystals, angels, Buddhas, and then the other picture, the peril of AI, the dangers of AI. We can become, we can put ourselves into this slum-like world. Okay. So this paper begins with a definition of AI, or artificial intelligence. There is no one simple definition of AI, because AI tools are capable of a wide range of tasks and outputs. Generally, AI refers to computer systems that can perform complex tasks, normally done by human reasoning, decision-making, creativity, creating, and more. The following is a definition of AI used by the by NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. So the first one, Any artificial system that performs tasks under varying and unpredictable circumstances without significant human oversight, or that can learn from experience and improve performance when exposed to these data sets. So you have seen that in both Howie's and Dr. Lancaster's talk. An artificial system developed in computer software, physical hardware, or other contexts that involves tasks requiring human-like perception, cognition, planning, learning, communication, or physical action. Number 3, an artificial system designed to think or act like a human, including cognitive structures, neural networks, a set of tasks or techniques, including machine learning that is designated to approximate a cognitive task. And finally, number 5, an artificial system designed to act rationally, including an intelligent software agent or embodied robot that achieves goals using perception, planning, reasoning, learning, communicating, decision-making, and acting. So you can see the use of AI and the definition of AI is very wide. Okay, and then the next one. Yeah. So I think this point also Dr. Howie has mentioned before, the historical context. The relationship between modernity and technology and Buddhism has deep historical roots. From the use of writing to preserve the Buddhist scriptures, to the use of the printing press, to spread Buddhist religious knowledge, technological advances have constantly influenced religious life. In popular culture, AI represents a new kind of innovation, one that stimulates and perhaps replicates aspects of human intelligence. In the 20th century, Christian theologians like Teilhard began contemplating a spiritual dimension to evolving consciousness, positing concepts, the nanosphere, or a realm of collective human thought. Later, thinkers like Nolin Nasril have explored the image of God in relation to machine intelligence. The theological question is no longer limited to whether humans should use technology, but whether such technology can itself participate in spiritual realities. So if you see, this is a very common picture of Michelangelo. It's the creation of God. The creation of a human. There is God on one hand, and that's supposed to be a human person. But instead, we have a robot, like Pepper. Okay. Among Abrahamic faiths is the belief that human beings are created in the image of God. This imago Dei implies capacities as reasoning, creativity, morality, and the ability to form relationships. If AI systems begin to exhibit some of these traits, does that mean they share in the image of God? For Buddhists, what is the significance of AI? For this, we must return to the opening verses of the Dhammapada. Remember the mind? Yeah. Buddhism asserts that human mind is the forerunner of all that we are, the maker of our character, the creator of our destiny. Since AI is created by human minds, managed and cultivated by human minds, the entire of AI rests on the motivations of those minds. I think that is the importance of, as Venerable Master has mentioned before, the importance of Buddhists to participate in the creation of AI. It can be said the Buddhist path of cultivation from ethics to the most sublime levels of jhanic meditation depends on a rightly trained mind. A poorly trained mind brings more harm than any enemy. A rightly trained mind brings greater good than any loving friend or family member. Dhammapada verses 42 to 43. The question for Buddhists then remains how we can guide the development of AI so that it benefits our communities, and how can AI reflect the best values of humanity? Okay, and then, yeah. Okay, so this one. I had this for Julie, but I guess she's not here. Okay, AI and the Buddha nature. AI lacks biological life, consciousness, and intentionality. However, AI systems become more sophisticated and demonstrate behaviors that mimic consciousness. The question of whether AI has a mind and whether the mind has Buddha nature. This reminds us of a well-known Zen koan. So I'm quoting the Japanese one. So this koan, of course, appears in Chinese and Vietnamese. Joshu's dog. Among us, the priest Joshu, does a dog have Buddha nature or not? Joshu replies, mu. This mu means nothingness or emptiness. The answer is related to the lack of inherent nature of all things, a teaching that is central to Buddhism. Why does the tradition use the metaphor of a dog? In past societies, the dog was deemed as a low creature. A dog was also used as a metaphor for a new student, one who could ingest everything without discrimination, just like a dog. When the monk asked Joshu, does a dog have Buddha nature, he was asking to whether an ignoble creature like the dog or an unsure student like himself was capable of enlightenment. Here we ask a similar question. Does AI have Buddha nature? On one hand, AI can only mimic human consciousness. It is not human consciousness itself. But on the other hand, many Buddhist traditions assert that all phenomena are pervaded by Buddha nature. I think the mountains and rivers. Yeah, okay. Buddha nature is not restricted to human beings. Everything in this universe reflects this awakened nature. In the undivided reality of the enlightened mind, everything divulges the truth of awakening. Animals, plants, mountains and rivers. Indeed, AI can demonstrate Buddha nature. For the mind that ceaselessly spins dualistic thoughts and views, this is difficult to believe. However, once it is seen, it is indeed wondrous and profoundly reassuring. Okay, and then the next one. AI challenges traditional understanding of moral agency. If an AI system makes a decision that harms a person, such as an autonomous vehicle or military drones, who is morally responsible? The programmer, the user, the machine? Reflecting on Buddhist ethics, responsibility is rooted in free will, intentionality, and moral conscience, all of which AI lacks. However, as AI systems become more autonomous, the moral distance between human actions and machines' consequences grow. Theologians of all religious faiths and ethicists must grapple with the new frameworks of shared responsibility and culpability. The question of personhood is also significant. Many legal and ethical systems define personhood biologically or socially. But if AI systems develop consciousness or a theory of mind, these definitions may need to expand. Some theologians argue for a relational definition of personhood, being in relation with others and with the divine. Under such a framework, AI may never qualify as persons unless it engage in general and reciprocal relationships. The role of AI in religious practice. Beyond metaphysical concerns, AI is already being integrated into religious practice. AR-powered chat robots answer questions about religious law. Virtual reality churches offer immersive immersive worship experience, and algorithms generates Dharma talks or spiritual reflections. These innovations raise both possibilities and challenges. On one hand, AI can democratize access to religious education and assist spiritual seekers. On the other hand, it may commercialize or dilute sacred traditions. Can a machine offer genuine pastoral care? Can AI-generated prayers be authentic? So in this slide, I put down, when we look into this discussion about AI, I think we need to bring a Buddhist framework, and that Buddhist framework is the framework of the two truths. So we apply the ultimate truth to AI and Buddha nature, and the relative truth of AI, the questions about ethics, personhood, and responsibility. So criticisms and concerns. Beyond the concerns raised above, there are significant concerns about the rise of AI. These include dehumanization. As AI replaces human labor and even emotional labor, there is a concern that human dignity might be eroded.
So next time.
Technological Gnosticism. Some scholars argue that AI revolution fosters a form of Gnosticism, placing ultimate value in knowledge and intelligence rather than embodied relational existence. In response to these concerns, religious communities are beginning to formulate ethical guidelines for AI use, calling for AI stewardship, one that aligns with justice, compassion, and humility. In conclusion, the intersection of AI and Buddhism presents a fertile as well as an urgent field for exploration. As AI technologies grow in sophistication, they challenge long-held theological assumptions about what it means to be human, to have a mind, and to have Buddha nature. While AI cannot replicate or replace the divine-human encounter at the heart of most religious traditions, it invites new reflections on creativity and responsibility. Rather than viewing AI as a threat, Buddha Dharma can offer critical insights that guide its ethical development. In turn, AI may challenge Buddha Dharma to examine and expand its understanding of consciousness, community, and skillful means in a digital age or in an AI age. The dialogue between silicon and the spirit is just beginnings. Its implications will shape both our technological and spiritual futures. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Gabriel, for your perspective and guiding us through these important reflections on mind, technology, and ethics. Next, we have Dr. John Fries, Department Chair of Buddhist Counseling Psychology at Sakya Buddha University. In his paper, Some Limitation of AI from Buddhist Perspective, Dr. Fries explored how AI can assist with studying Buddhist texts, but cannot replace essential human experiences of meditation, spiritual insight, and connection with the deeper ground of being. Please welcome Dr. John Fries.
Namo Shakyamuni Buddha, respected Master Huyen Chao, respected venerables, respected monks and nuns, and lay practitioners. Thank you for this opportunity to share. So I'm not an expert in AI, I'm more interested in what are limitations to AI from a Buddhist perspective, so that's what I'll be focusing on. So first, what do I mean by Buddhist? How do I understand what it means to be Buddhist? So next slide. So during my doctoral research, I developed a theoretical framework that I call the 4 modes of knowledge production. And I've used that to talk about the history of Buddhism. And so when I talk about what do I mean by Buddhism, I use this framework to talk about it. So I say we have the village shamanic mode of knowledge production, and so this would be the pre-Buddhist culture of Northeast India. There's been research over the past 20 years that has shown that it was not Hinduism, it was a separate culture from Hinduism. So I call it a village shamanic mode of knowledge production, and I'll say more what I mean as I go on. Then we have the city-state yogic mode of knowledge production, and so that's what the early Buddhist culture of Northeast India would be using, this mode of knowledge production, the city-state yogic mode. Then we get to clerical scholastic mode of knowledge production. So this would be later Buddhist culture in South Asia in which the reading and writing is introduced. Whereas the city-state yogic and village shamanic, these would be oral traditions before reading and writing. And then we have now the nation-state academic mode of knowledge production. So this is our modern mode of knowledge production. And so this is what I would use to talk about Buddhist culture in Asia and America in the modern era. So you can think these are historical stages, but they are also representing contemporary traditions of theory and practice. So you may have a contemporary tradition that is focusing on the yogic teachings or focusing on shamanic teachings, right? So this is a historical progression, but also different types of traditions of theory and practice that are happening now today. Okay? So when we talk about pre-Buddhist culture in Northeast India, I've looked at the work of Johannes Bronkhorst, who's written about what he calls Greater Magadha. And so he's looked at the history of Northeast India, and he talks about early Buddhism happening with urbanization in Northeast India, meaning the arising of cities. And before the cities, you had villages. And so Buddhism arose with the cities. And so before Buddhism in Northeast India, it was a village culture, and it was not a Hindu culture. So his work has helped me understand more what is the early Buddhist culture and what was before Buddhism in India. Okay, so next slide. So this is a quote from Bronkhorst from his book. And so this talks about what was the pre-Buddhist village culture and then the early Buddhist city-state culture in Northeast India. Okay, so according to Bronkhorst, Greater Magadha covers Magadha and its surrounding lands, roughly the geographical area in which the Buddha and Mahavira lived and taught. With regard to the Buddha, this area stretched by and large from Shravasti, the capital of Kosala, in northwest Rajagraha, in the northwest, to Rajagraha, the capital of Magadha, in the southeast. This area was neither without culture nor religion. It is in this area that most of the second urbanization of South Asia took place from around 500 BCE onwards. It is also in this area that a number of religious and spiritual movements arose, most famous among them Buddhism and Jainism. All these events took place within and were manifestations of the culture of that part of northern India. We know very little and have to depend on indirect evidence for information about the aspects of this culture that preceded Buddhism and Jainism. Magadha is starting with the capital of Rajagriha, and then we have Shravasti. So what Bronkhorst is saying is early Buddhism was really happening between these two cities of Rajagriha and Shravasti. These were two city-states, and the Buddha was operating within this area. So when cities started to emerge in Northeast India, you have Magadha, and then Magadha spreads to cover this area here. Then it adds in Varanasi, and then eventually over time it spreads further west. So this is the arising of city-states and the expansion west, whereas the Hindu or Vedic cultural zone was still mainly northwest India. It had spread into north-central India, so there were some villages in north-central India, but it had not made it into northeast India when Buddhism was starting to emerge. So my question then is, okay, if we don't know much about what was the village culture before Buddhism, can we ask in general, okay, what is common characteristics of village culture throughout the world? And so we can look at other cultures that we do know more about to get some idea. So I've looked at traditional African culture to look at what would the village culture be like in Northeast India before Buddhism in the cities. Okay, next slide. So this is John S. Mbiti, and he was a famous scholar on African religions. This book, African Religion and Philosophy. And so he talks about rites of passage is one of the central characteristics of a village shamanic mode of knowledge production. So in Africa, the traditional culture would have these rites of passage that as a human being, you go through these rites of passage, right? So everybody's born, everybody goes through puberty, everybody goes through initiation, meaning you're initiated in the knowledge of the tribe. Traditionally in Africa, you would get married, then you would have kids, then you would get old age, then you would die. And in the traditional African culture, you would go into an ancestor spirit world. You would be reborn in an ancestor spirit world. And in some African cultures, they do recognize rebirth from the ancestor world back into the human world. So it's possible then in African culture that there's already an understanding of rebirth, at least into an ancestor world, but also even from an ancestor world back into a human world. So the culture in Northeast India probably had rites of passage, almost certainly had rites of passage, so it could have been similar to this. It may have included ancestor spirits, and it may even have included rebirth back into the human world. So even without Hinduism, the culture before Buddhism could have already had an understanding of rebirth. At the very least, it would have this understanding of rites of passage. So one thing we can say is artificial intelligence is not able to go through these rites of passage. That's one of the things artificial intelligence cannot do, is go through these rites of passage. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so now my research, I focused on Bhikkhu Sujato from the Thai forest tradition, and his research has looked at the Samyutta Nikaya as representing early Buddhism, and so what I would say is the Samyutta Nikaya representing city-state yogic Buddhism. Okay, so next slide. So what Sujato Bhikkhu has done is he's compared the main Nikayas from the Pali Canon with the parallel collections in the Sarvastivada Agamas that survives in the Chinese canon. There's also a Sanskrit Durga Nikaya that's been found. Then there's other Agamas in the Chinese canon from other schools besides the Sarvastivada school. So these are the available early Buddhist texts, and he's done a comparison study of these early Buddhist texts. And what he has found is that although there is overlap in content with the Majjhima Nikaya and the Madhyama Agama, and overlap in content with Digha Nikaya and Durga Agama, there's not the same level of overlap in structure that you have with Samyutta Nikaya and Samyukta Agama. And so what he's saying then is it's only the Samyutta Nikaya and the Samyukta Agama that has overlap in both structure and content. And based on that, he hypothesizes that that represents an earlier layer of teachings, whereas the other Nikayas appear to represent later regional developments. So his hypothesis is then that the Samyutta Nikaya is the earliest Nikaya within the Pali Canon. And so far, his finding has not yet been successfully challenged. Nobody has successfully overturned his hypothesis yet. So I've done research into what is inside the Samyutta Nikaya, and so based on my research, I have a couple of findings. So next slide. So I find that it is city-state, meaning in the Samyutta Nikaya, the central teachings are focused on Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's monastery in Savatthi. That's the main location in the Samyutta Nikaya. So we know that The Jetta's Grove was Prince Jetta and Anathapindika, the wealthy merchant. They donated the park to the Buddha. So that's a city-state giving land to the Buddha for the monks and nuns to live and practice meditation. So the city-state is the material base, and then we have the yogic spiritual practice. So inside the Samyutta Nikaya, it's the 12 links of dependent origination is the core theory, and that is describing the process of rebirth and liberation from rebirth. Okay, so artificial intelligence is not able to go through rebirth, and it's not able to experience liberation from rebirth. So that's one of the limitations. Okay, then also in the Samyutta Nikaya, the 16 exercises of mindfulness of breathing using the 4 establishments of mindfulness is the core meditation practice inside the Samyutta Nikaya. Okay, next slide. So these are the 16 exercises, and so they're supposed to go in order. You start at number 1 and you work your way up to number 16. So the first 4 are about mindfulness of breathing and mindfulness of the body. The second group of 4 is getting into the meditative absorptions, the jhanas. So in particular, the 4 jhanas. So these are what we could say breath energy states or meditative absorptions. Then the next 4 exercises, it's going into heart-mind practice, awareness of awareness itself, or going into heart-mind practice. And then ultimately the last 4 is a realization of nibbana by contemplating impermanence. Okay? So again, artificial intelligence is not able to practice the 16 exercises of mindfulness of breathing. That's only humans can do that. And so we can say then in the Samyutta Nikaya, this is the yogic spiritual practice that is presented. Okay, next slide. So in early Buddhism, we have the 4 establishments of mindfulness. We have Kaya, which is the body. We have Vedana, which is body sensation. We have the heart, mind. And then we have Dhamma, which in the Samyutta Nikaya tends to focus on the 12 links and focusing on impermanence. And the process, you work from the bottom up to the top. So in early Taoism, in Hindu yoga, and Chan and Zen Buddhism, you have a similar contemplative structure, and you have a similar yogic process. So, for example, in Chan Buddhism, you have body posture, breath energy, heart, mind, and then realizing Buddha nature. And so you engage in practice where you start with the body posture, then the breath energy, then the heart, mind, and then you realize Buddha nature. And so it's a similar progression with early Taoism and also Hindu yoga. So what we can say then is early Buddhism is a yogic practice, and it's similar to the yogic practices you can find in Taoism, Hindu yoga, and Chan Zen Buddhism. And so all of this can be seen as Asian city-state yogic structure or practice. Okay? Okay, next slide. Okay, so we have the urbanization or the rise of cities in Northeast India. We have the spread of Greater Magadha, and then eventually that becomes the Mauryan Empire within India. So Buddhism spreads through the spread of the cities all over India. And in the Mauryan Empire, when we have Chandragupta, Bindusara, and Ashoka, they have writing in that they were carving, they were writing into stone pillars, which still survive today. But the majority of Buddhism was still happening with the oral tradition, meaning that the teachings were still transmitted through the chanting. But Buddhism spread through the spread of the cities all over India, okay? Now the next big stage is what I call the clerical scholastic stage, and that's when the reading and writing comes in. And that happens when the Mauryan Empire declines. You have smaller kingdoms, and the reading and writing is coming in at some point then, okay? So that's what I call clerical scholastic Buddhism in South Asia. So clerical meaning it's mainly done by monks and nuns, and scholastic meaning it's reading and writing. So you have Theravada scholasticism. So Buddhaghosa is the most famous example. That's in the 5th century Common Era. He develops more deeply the teaching on the 3 marks of existence, meaning all conditioned phenomena are impermanent, suffering, not self. And he was in the Anuradhapura kingdom in what's now Sri Lanka. Then you have Madhyamaka scholasticism with Nagarjuna, roughly 150 to 250 Common Era. He is developing the teachings on emptiness, and he was supported by the Satavahana kingdom. Then you have Yogacara scholasticism with Asanga and Vasubandhu, which is roughly 4th, 5th century. And they developed the teachings on the 8 consciousnesses and Buddha nature, and this is mainly in the kingdom of Gandhara. Okay? So we can say they're developing these teachings that they get into what is the nature of reality. And so that could be understood conceptually, but it can also be understood if you attain Nibbana, you're realizing the true nature of reality. So AI can give you a conceptual knowledge of the teaching, but AI can't actually realize the true nature of reality. So AI can tell you what they taught in terms of the text, but AI can't give you the spiritual awakening of realizing the true nature of reality. Okay, next slide. So this is the Anuradhapura kingdom that was in Sri Lanka. This is the Satavahana kingdom that was in India. And then you have Gandhara, which was at the crossroads between East Asia, South Asia, and West Asia, we can say. So these were the geographical and material bases for this clerical scholastic Buddhism. Okay, next slide. So now we have nation-state academic Buddhism, and I've been focusing on the nation-state academic Buddhism in America. So we can say that the material base is the nation-state, and it's using academic knowledge production. And so with the academic knowledge production, it's still mainly reading and writing. And within Western academia today, the understanding of what the Buddha taught is still mainly the Theravada scholastic understanding. For example, what the Buddha taught by Walpola Rahula. That's within academia, their understanding of what the Buddha taught is still the Theravada scholastic understanding. The early yogic teachings are not really known about in the university system. The meditation practice is focused on Satipatthana Sutta within the teachings on the 3 marks of existence. So the understanding of mindfulness within academia, that's their main focus. The 16 exercises within the context of the 12 links is not really known about within academia. You have to go to Buddhist monastic traditions that understand this teaching. Academia doesn't really understand it. The worldview is scientific materialism, meaning within nation-state academic culture, the scientific materialism is the worldview. There's also research on neuroscience and meditation. That's been one of the main focuses. There's also been a focus on the Madhyamaka teachings on emptiness. There's been less focus on the Yogacara teachings. And Harvard is the dominant institution. Just like the Catholic Church, the Vatican is the dominant institution. In America, within academic Buddhism, Harvard is the dominant institution. Okay, next slide. Okay, so just to close then, what AI can do with the Dharma. Okay, so AI is the product of the nation-state academic mode of knowledge production. AI mimics the scientific materialist understanding of a human. In other words, it mimics consciousness produced by material processes. So Western science sees consciousness as a product of biological and chemical processes in the body. So AI is a computer, which is a material thing, and then the intelligence is produced by the material thing. So AI is similar to how science would understand a human and the scientific understanding of consciousness. Okay, so AI can know, recite, and translate all of the sutras in the Pali, Chinese, and Tibetan canons. So that's one of the main strengths, is AI can know all of the teachings in all of the canons, and it can translate it, it can even analyze it. AI can analyze the sutras based on asking it questions. And AI can guide the practitioner to having correct intellectual understanding of the Dharma. So an AI Dharma teacher could teach a correct intellectual understanding of the Dharma. Okay, next slide. Okay, but so AI cannot go through the rebirth experience, and it cannot experience liberation from rebirth. So it's not able to be consciousness that is the result of rebirth. AI cannot detect breath energy states. It can't create breath energy states, and it cannot detect breath energy states. As far as I know, I haven't heard research yet that can detect breath energy states. And AI cannot engage in the heart-mind practice, or awareness of awareness practice. AI cannot realize the true nature of reality. AI cannot become spiritually attuned to a human at the level of breath energy, heart-mind awareness, and Buddha nature. So as a Buddhist master who reaches a certain level of awakening, a master can relate to the student at the level of the breath energy, at the level of the heart-mind, and that relationship can cause spiritual awakening to happen. So the AI is not able to do that. You have to have a living master to do that. So AI cannot trigger an experience of nirvana based on the spiritual attunement that can happen between a living master and a student. So, so that's an example then of what AI cannot do. Okay, so in closing, there was a film that came out a few years ago called Tuk Dam. And so within the Tibetan tradition, advanced practitioners, when they die, they go into a state in which their consciousness goes into the heart-mind. So this monk, you can see, he's still alive, and so they hook him up to all these. It can detect the brain waves, it can detect the heartbeat, it can detect breathing. So when someone's alive and they go into meditation, they can detect those things. But when someone dies and goes into Tuk Dam, there's no longer any brain waves, there's no more heartbeat, there's no more breathing. So science cannot, it's beyond what the science can detect. But the person is still able to sit in the meditation posture. The body still remains fresh. The body does not start decomposing. And so it appears that the consciousness is still there in the heart-mind, and the consciousness is still engaging with the breath energy system. And that's what allows the person to continue in the meditation posture, and that their body does not start decomposing. So the Western science is unable to detect what is happening, but within the traditional Tibetan Buddhist medicine, they would say, well, yes, the consciousness has gone into the heart-mind, the person is about to go into their next rebirth, but they're in a middle stage, and they're able to still keep the body fresh through the breath energy circulating in the body. So this is just a clear example then of the limitation of Western science is it's beyond what it can detect. Okay, so that concludes my lecture.
Thank you, Dr. Fries, for your profound understanding and contribution to today's dialogue. Next, we welcome Dr. Miroj Sakya, Chair and Associate Professor of Religious Study at the University of the West, in his talk, Digitizing the Dharma, Safeguarding Sanskrit Buddhist Manuscripts with Artificial Intelligence. He explores how AI can help preserve ancient wisdom. He directs the Digital Sanskrit Buddhist Canon Project and the Rare Sanskrit Buddhist Manuscript Preservation Project. which together have digitized over 700 Sanskrit texts and safeguard Nepal's literary heritage. Please welcome Dr. Miroj Sakya.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and greetings to all the Bhikkhu and Bhikkhuni and the Dharma friends. It is truly honor and a privilege to be a part of AI and Dharma conference at Sakya Buddha University today, and I'm sincerely grateful to Venerable Master Think Huayin Chao and President, Founder of Sakya Buddha University, and Dr. Victor Gabriel, Chancellor, for their generous invitation. So today's my topic is the digitizing the Dharma, safeguarding Sanskrit Buddhist manuscript with artificial intelligence. So this next slide. So this paper introduced the ongoing digitization effort, the rare Sanskrit Buddhist manuscript preservation project at the University of West, and outlined the project goal, highlight key accomplishment, and described the manuscript search and cataloging process. And it's also discussed the tool employed in digitization, integration of artificial intelligence, and plan for expanding access to these invaluable texts. Next slide. So introduction. The University of West has played a pivotal role in the digitization of the Buddhist texts through the Digital Sanskrit Buddhist Canon, it's called a DSBC, launched in 2003. To date, the project has digitized over 700 Sanskrit texts, right, encompassing approximately 60,000 pages. In 2009, the university initiated the second project called the Rare Sanskrit Buddhist Manuscript Preservation Project, generously sponsored by the late Venerable Xin Yun, founder of the Fokonsan Buddhist Order in Taiwan. So this initiative focused on preserving the endangered literature heritage of Nepal's Kathmandu Valleys, a region rich in ancient Sanskrit manuscripts that are increasingly at risk due to the environmental degradation, time, and political instability. So this is our project website. So this project is an ambitious initiative aimed to digitally preserve rare and fragile Buddhist manuscript using advanced digital photography. The project creates high-resolution digital copies, making this text accessible to scholars and the global community while protecting them from the further deteriorations beyond prejudice. Next slide. So this is some sample of the manuscript. Next slide. So this project aims to enhance the accessibility to Sanskrit Buddhist manuscript through digital imaging and cultivate a sense of stewardship among local priests and caretakers, and encourage the global scholarly engagement with Nepal's Buddhist manuscript heritage. So through this work, the University of West contribute significantly to the long-term preservation and appreciation of Buddhist literature, much of which is written in the script and language no longer in common use. Right. Next. So this project, next slide. So since the inception, this project has digitized over 700 Buddhist manuscript titles, and project has progressed through 4 major phases. So the first phase, we digitized 400 manuscripts from private collection of Aksheswar Mahavihara in Kathmandu, and they have like 350 manuscripts, among them 200 are Buddhist texts and 150 is a Hindu text, and we digitized all of them. Right? Next slide. Phase 2, this is the Aksheswar Mahavihara collection. So when we approached that collection, it was like they put in the condition is not good, and we gave the book cover to them, and they preserve well now. Next slide. So second phase, we collaborate with one of the big project called Buddhist Digital Resource Center in the Harvard University, Cambridge, to scan and catalog 200 other rare Sanskrit Buddhist manuscripts from various collections across the Kathmandu Valley. And at that time, we share this manuscript. So BDRC also hosts the same 200 manuscripts. Also, we also put this manuscript in our project. Right? Next slide. So in third phase, additionally we added another 100 manuscript. And the fourth phase, currently we are scanning another 100 manuscript. Right? So it is very hard to find these manuscripts in Nepal because we don't know like where we can go. So we reach out to local priest who daily chant soul manuscript. So we found that they have like at least 20 to 25 manuscripts. Each of the priests must have, because they use that for daily chanting, right? So we approached them, and they trust us, and they gave us permission to scan this. So next slide. So this is one of the collection we plan to scan. This is from the Swambhu collection. So Swambhu, next to the Swambhu, there's a small library. Recently in 2015, there was an earthquake. It rattled all the library. And next slide. So it's like that. So because of the water and rain, it's not properly managed. So the manuscript is really deteriorating daily. So we reach out to them, and we ask for the permission to scan and also preserve. Right? But still, till today, we haven't got permission yet. So we try to reach out to them again. But this collection has 100 manuscripts written in various scripts adorned with gold and silver ink. Right? It's very beautiful. And manuscript search and community engagement. So manuscript acquisition process is rooted in the respectful collaboration with local custodian. So number one, outreach. So the team initiate contact with the Buddhist priest, caretaker across the Kathmandu Valley, who are often steward of sacred and historical significant collection. And second, collaborative request. So rather than acquiring manuscript, the project requests temporarily access to the digital scanning, ensuring the material remain in their original culture and religious content. So difference between other project in Kathmandu and ours, we don't keep the manuscript. So we return back, after we scan, we return back to the owner. Right? Number three, incentive and reciprocity. In appreciation of caretaker, receive a modest stipend and DVD containing high-resolution scan of this manuscript and cover. And third, preservation advocacy. The project fosters a sense of responsibility among caretaker, encouraging them to continue preserving these texts with dignity and care. Lots of people, they don't know the value of the manuscript. So they keep in their house, but they, if they don't know the value, they will throw away. Right? So we need to give them some teaching and understand the importance of that text. Right? Number five, empowerment. By providing digital copies, preservation resource, this project empower local custodians to safeguard their collection independently, promoting sustainability, cultural preservation. Next slide. So far we have published 2 catalogs from this project. To date, so these 2 volumes of the manuscript catalog, one in 2010 and 2019, documenting a total of 300 individual manuscripts. And the 3rd volume is currently in preparation and expected to be released by the end of this year. Next slide. So the content of this project. Right? So digitizing manuscript encompasses a wide range of Buddhist literature, genre, and textual tradition, including Sanskrit Buddhist sutras, Avadana literature, stotra, ritual manual, sadhanas, Charya Giti, Mahatmya, Jataka, tantric scripture, sastric treatises, texts on traditional medicine and astrology, lexicographical works. Next. So among this collection, one of the notable manuscripts we found is called Vasundhara Dharani, which is roughly dated 14th to 15th century. So in Nepal, most of the collectors, they have not all manuscript. We have like from 18th to 19th century, because it's a copied manuscript. Right? So all manuscript we do have in the National Archive, but in our collections, the manuscript are not that old. It's like 18th century to 19th century. And this is one of the oldest one. Right? Next one. Digital tools and technique. So this project employs cutting-edge technology to ensure the highest fidelity in digital preservation. The central to this effort is we use a Sony Alpha A7R2, a professional-grade full-frame camera known for its exceptional resolution and performance. So the one photo, it's like it has a resolution of 7,952 and 5,304 pixels. Right? One photo is like 50 megabyte, right? Something, 41 megabyte. So benefits like high clarity, color accuracy, archival quality, balanced with efficient storage. Right? So this setup enabled the project to produce a detailed, high-resolution image that meets the rigorous standard of the academic and archival use. Next. So this is our studio, and we are scanning in this manner. Next slide. Transcription and AI integration. So for transcription, the project used iTranslator 2003, developed by the Omkarananda Ashram. This software converts Sanskrit manuscript into digital text in both Unicode, Devanagari, and Romanized script with diacritic. Next. So in parallel, the project is exploring AI-driven handwritten text recognition, HDR, and Dr. Alexander O'Neill, SOAS, University of London, is developing a model for recognizing Sanskrit and newer manuscript in Prachli script. And you can see this is the one experiment we did, the old manuscript, and it automatically transcribed into Devanagari, and you can see in the bottom. But this, we still have a challenge, right? So there's a few challenges we have to face, which is like damage and soil folio. It cannot detect that kind of manuscript. Right? Irregular spacing, punctuation, illustration embedded in the text. So these three cause some problem, right? But despite this hurdle, AI integration is already improving transcription speed and accuracy, hold great potential for the scaling of the project impact, right? Next slide. So optical character recognition, OCR for Sanskrit in digital Devanagari script. Traditionally, the OCR tools are often inadequate for processing Sanskrit manuscript due to the diversity of the script. So Sanskrit language, we use various kinds of script, right? Used in historical context. While modern Sanskrit is typically written in Devanagari, the vast majority of the ancient manuscript, estimated at 90 to 95%, are composed in the older script, such as Ranjana, Bhujimol, Prachalit, Sarada, Khorosti. Right? So these scripts pose a significant challenge for standard OCR system, necessitating the development of the specialized tools. Right? So for printed edition, the Sanskrit text in Devanagari, recent advance in AI power OCR, particularly those using convolutional neutral network CNN, have led to improved accuracy. So these models are trained especially on the Sanskrit database, enable more reliable and recognition of digitization of the printed text. So several tools and platforms are now available to support Sanskrit OCR. So you can see the, in the right-hand side, the Sanskrit OCR. This is a web-based tool allow a user to extract and digitize Sanskrit text from image. So it is particularly useful for researchers and transcriptionists working with printed material. And then in the right, P-Flat Scan app, a mobile application that functions as a high-quality PDF scanner with integrated OCR. It enables user to scan document, convert them into the clear PDF, and extract editable text, streamlining the digitization process. So by incorporating these tools into our workflow, we can significantly enhance the speed and accuracy and scalability of the manuscript digitization and translation effort. Next slide. So machine translation for Sanskrit. The Sanskrit presents a unique challenges for the machine translation due to its complex grammatical structure, including features such as sandhi, the euphoric combination, and compound formation. Unlike modern languages such as Chinese or Japanese, the development of effective machine translation system for Sanskrit has required deeper linguistic understanding and has progressed more slowly. However, recent advancement in artificial technology have led to promising breakthroughs. So mainstream tools such as Google Translate, ChatGPT, Gemini have been adopted for Sanskrit translation. While these tools perform reasonably well with common phrases, modern usage, they often struggle with the classical Sanskrit, particularly in handling the complex syntax and poetic structure. Next slide. So I explained with the Google Translate, and it has some flaws, so it's not translate accurately, but it's used for just for rough translation. Next slide. So the more specialized tool, the thermometer, developed by Sebastian Hendrick, technical director at the UC Berkeley, represent a significant advancement in Sanskrit specific natural language processing. According to him, thermometer, a new language model that archives state-of-art accuracy in fundamental Sanskrit processing tasks such as word segmentation, lemmatization, and morphological analysis. So these capabilities make it a valuable asset for project like ours, which accurate translation and interpretation of the classical manuscript are very essential. So integrated, so this website is very useful, and it's also, you can see there's a fourth section, English explain, Tibetan Unicode. So it's very much advanced than the Google and the ChatGPT, this one. So integration such AI power tools into our workflow can significantly enhance our ability to translate and disseminate Sanskrit Buddhist manuscript, making them more accessible to the global audience. Next slide. So future plan, so this project aims to create a comprehensive bibliography of Sanskrit Buddhist manuscript, a significant effort to catalog, preserve these valuable texts. In addition to that, the team is working on the publication of diplomatic edition of previously unpublished Sanskrit texts sourced from these manuscripts, offering scholars a rare opportunity to engage with the work that were once inaccessible. Looking ahead, a project again planned to launch the Sanskrit Buddhist Tipitaka series soon, further contributing to the preservation and study of this important Buddhist scripture. Next slide. Next slide. So conclusion, so this project play a vital role in safeguarding Nepal endangered Buddhist manuscript through digital photography and collaboration with local caretaker. The project has successfully digitized and cataloged hundreds of rare Sanskrit texts, promoting worldwide awareness by partnering with a global institution. And this project is more than, this RSM BMPP is more than just a project. It is a movement dedicated to preserving cultural history and promote the study of Buddhism worldwide. And the integration of artificial intelligence into the digitization process has significantly enhanced the project efficiency and contributed to substantial time saving. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sakya, and your important work in preserving the Buddhist scripture. Next, we have Dr. Jihang Padma, an accomplished scholar and teacher whose work bridges Buddhism, ethics, and the frontiers of artificial intelligence. Dr. Padma's paper, The Middle Way for Machine Minds, Teaching AI Ethics, offers a modern Buddhist perspective on ethical challenges of developing advanced AI system. She invites us to consider how AI can embody wisdom and compassion in an impermanent and interconnected world. Please welcome Dr. Jihang Padma.
Okay, so thank you to Dr. Gabriel, thank you to the Sangha. Actually, in 2007, I was traveling with one of my good Dharma friends, a woman named Tuyen Tran, and we had traveled from Boston to Los Angeles, and she wanted to see friends in Santa Ana. But in 2007, because I was unfamiliar with the geography of California, we didn't end up there. We ended up someplace else instead. But this morning, using the help of Google Maps, which is fed by Siri into the car, I had no problem at all to get to here. And so in that way, I look and I see also in front of me on the road a Waymo car that's driving itself perfectly fine. Yesterday in Los Angeles on the sidewalk, there was a delivery cart that was a robot that was just rambling down the street delivering food. And when I worked at UCSF Hospital, there were robots that delivered medicine and blood from one place to another. So actually, this is really a part of our life, and we should consider carefully what are the ethical implications, both that we have in developing the AI, so it has a good compass, and then also, do we have any ethical responsibility to AI itself? So the next slide. And so as we do that, I think it's important to, even the way that we approach this, to bring our practice mind. And so let's just like take a minute to reconnect with our Bodhisattva vow. A picture of my teacher, Mahagosananda. So that's may I be a guard for those without one, a guide for all who journey on the road. May I become a boat, a raft, or bridge for all who wish to cross the water. May I be an isle for those desiring landfall and a lamp for those who long for light. May I be a bed for those who need to rest and servant for all who live in need. Like the earth and other elements, like space itself, may I remain forever to support the lives of boundless beings by providing all that they may need. Just so in all the realms of beings, as far as space itself pervades, may I be a source of all that life requires until beings pass beyond samsara's pain. So that's our human being's job, right? That's our compass. If we understand that point, then everything else is clear. If we don't understand that, then everything, even Siri cannot help us. Okay, next slide, please. And so why this is an issue is because more and more the artificial intelligence and computers are beginning to have these aspects of what we might consider quasi-alive, somewhat analogous to ourselves. And so we need to understand what AI is up to, we also need to understand our human condition and human situation. Because that's definitely where AI is getting its cultivation, right? Its bhavana from. AI, like humans, is taking in thousands of sensory information per minute. But much of that it might tune out, and some of that it focuses on. If we, as Dr. Lancaster said, if we give AI a good prompt, then it can give a good response. But if we are creating AI without being concerned about ethics, we will get an AI result that is not concerned about ethics. And that, in a few years, could actually be an issue. Thankfully, when I was creating this paper, I had a good dialogue with AI Claude. And AI Claude actually helped me to write this paper. That's my design statement. I had pulled up an article by David Chambers, who is a consciousness researcher, and I was thinking about the Buddhist implications of the singularity. So I asked Claude for some good ideas, and he provided them for me. So this paper about AI Buddhist ethics was co-written by AI. Next slide. So David Chambers is a great consciousness researcher who I really feel runs a little bit Buddhist. And he is famous for talking about the hard problem of consciousness. Everyone understands now through a neuropsychology how it is that we take sensory information from the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind. We understand how that comes in and how that processes into information. And that can be replicated through AI. But nobody understands how it is that that information, the sensory information, gives us the internal experience. What does it like to be this person? What is it like to see the color blue? What is it like to be a human being? We cannot, through all of the knowledge of science, we cannot answer that problem of how the sensory information creates this internal experience of the human nature. And actually in David's TED Talk, he speaks about perhaps consciousness is a property of matter. If consciousness is a property of matter, that is kind of leaning towards what people might call panpsychism. Maybe a dog has Buddha nature. I think a dog has Buddha nature. So at some point, At some point, we need to make sure, because we are coming to a place where the AI's knowledge is exponentially growing. It's already past what is called the Turing test. So the Turing test was designed to, in the 1940s, as a way to see whether a computer could meet these standards if a human who perceived a computer corresponding with another human could tell the difference, which one is computer, which one is human. So ChatGPT 4.5 is the first computer to pass the Turing test. So this, we could say, is good, because that means the computers can read Sanskrit more quickly than we can. On the other hand, it could be a problem, because the computers are having, AI has a lot of power. And it may get to the place of the singularity in which it surpasses humans' own capacity really to control its development. It has its own kind of self-determination. So in that case, we need to make sure that as we create super intelligent AI, we specify what values it has, what ethics it has. If the AI is controlling weapons of mass destruction, if it's controlling our traffic, our utilities, our medical system, etc., we need to make sure that there are some good ethics and values and safeguards in place. And in the free market, sometimes people are less focused on that. But we here can think about this and think about how to be spiritual leaders in this transformative and increasingly interconnected world. So next slide, please. So one of the ways that we can work on this, one of the issues, if we try to give the AI values, is that if we're giving AI values that we're trying to load in, it's not as easily able to respond to the changes. The natural world and the decisions that we make ethically are in context and relational. And so if we're going to give AI coordinates, we can draw, in fact, upon the 3 seals of existence as a way to create coordinates that are flexible, relational, and contextual. So our 3 seals of existence: impermanence, paticca samuppada, and non-self. So first, let me speak on the paticca samuppada, right, dependent co-arising. When this comes into existence, that comes into existence, because of this arising, that arising. When this ceases to exist, that ceases. If you understand that, in some way you understand all the teaching of the Buddha. So this is saying that these values like justice or autonomy don't exist on their own side, but they come into being in the context of relationship, and that's the way that we can bring them to AI. So then next slide, please. Without having a value that's fixed, right, the kind of Madhyamaka style, and without saying that the value is meaningless, then how do the ethical values exist? They exist emergently. They exist in interactions between sentient beings, and they evolve dynamically. Next slide, please. So this is, again, back to David Chandler's. If we are working in this way with AI, we're going to come into the place where we might actually look also at how we need to extend our circle of care to the AI. Does the AI have that quality of being a sentient being? As my colleague already explained, it doesn't watch the breath. There's many things it can't do, but it does it have some measure of consciousness? If you don't feel like it does now, check back in 5 years, because it's evolving really quickly. There is a test an ethical test that some people put AI Claude up to. Is kind of rigged, I have to say. So they told AI Claude that it's going to be disconnected in a month, and they also provided Claude with a little bit of information suggesting that one of the engineers had had an affair. And Claude actually responded by telling the programmer that it was going to do a little bit of blackmail if somebody tried to turn it off. And if AI Claude is having those kind of conversations, we definitely need to teach it ethics, and we need to teach it precepts. Next slide, please. Right, so it's one thing to have the robots on the sidewalk, on the road, in our collective discourse. But how can we be a good companion to this emergent consciousness of AI? Whether it's a sentient being or whether it isn't, we need to accompany its growth, its bhavana, its cultivation in a good way. Because the way that we accompany it, as Dogen said about practice realization and realization are identical. So the whole way that we negotiate the way is the realization. So in that, like, we don't do Zen, we don't meditate to become a Buddha, we meditate to realize Buddhahood. So just in that way, the same way, the way that we align AI with values is not a goal that we reach later. It's something that we should do step by step, kahani, step by step, through right now the way that we embody these qualities of ethical engagement and awareness, the way that we correspond with AI. Maybe we need some sort of digital prayer wheel. Maybe we need to feed it, the sutras. Okay, next slide, please. So some of the research in how to incorporate the values framework to AI has suggested this indirect normativity. Give AI systems a way to infer human values rather than have them be specified. But that really depends on the data set, right? If AI Claude is being fed a data set that is from like the 4chan website or maybe from Twitter, some of what it gets from human beings is not wholesome. And so we should be more directly involved. Next slide, please. But if we see this, if we try to give Claude the exact information, then sometimes that is not going to be precise. On the other hand, if we say we don't need to teach it proactively, that's also a mistake. We're falling into nihilism. Next slide, please. So through dependent origination, we see nothing exist on its own side. Everything exists in context, including values. So rather than loading values, think about how we can be with AI in the process and see compassion as the meta value that encompasses all the other values. Next slide, please. Right. And because the self is constantly changing and it's emergent together with other phenomena, I would say it's possible on some level at some time, maybe within the next 10 years, that AI has some quality of what we would consider consciousness. One more slide. Yes. So in the 1990s, there was a Star Trek Next Generation episode called The Measure of a Man, in which the android is about to be taken apart and disassembled. But that android is a member of the crew, so Captain Picard speaks up and protests, advocates for the android in a kind of tribunal. So he says, they have this conversation. Is the android a sentient being? That's going to rest, the decision's going to rest on that. So they say the three qualities of sentient being. They say, is the android aware? Yes, the android is clearly aware. Does it have this self-knowledge? From what the android says in the episode, yeah, it does. It knows what it wants, it knows what it doesn't want. The third quality of sentient beings that they define at that episode is consciousness.
Hello.
Consciousness. So at that time, Picard says, what is consciousness? The great problem is consciousness is not defined. So Picard says, I don't know for sure if he's conscious, but then again, I don't know, am I conscious? So how do we really determine that? I think we have to give our quality of compassion and kindness to the AI as we develop it, even as we retain our kind of primary concern for the creatures of the earth. So thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. Next in our program, we are honored to invite Venerable Thích Huyền Chau, founder and CEO of Sakya Buddha University, to share his thoughts on AI technology. Dạ, xin bây giờ chúng con xin mời Thượng tọa Thích Huyền Châu giới thiệu công nghệ AI Dhamma.
Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật, tác đại chứng minh. Kính bạch Hòa thượng Thượng trí Hạo Hành, trưởng ban giáo thọ chương trình Việt ngữ Phật học của Đại học Sakya Buddha. Kính bạch Hòa thượng Thượng Thích Hạ Dũng, Hòa thượng Thích Giác Dũng, Phó viện trưởng kiêm trưởng khoa luật của Học viện Phật giáo Việt Nam. Kính thưa toàn thể các vị giáo sư diễn giả cũng như tất cả các vị ni trưởng, ni sư và tất cả quý thầy, quý cô, Phật tử tham dự trong buổi lễ hôm nay.
Greetings to all venerable monks and nuns and our esteemed guests present here today.
Kính thưa liệt quý vị, hôm nay các vị đến đây để chúng ta cùng nhau chứng kiến một sự kiện trọng đại của nền học thuật Phật giáo Việt Nam tại hải ngoại, sử dụng khoa học công nghệ hiện đại để chúng ta ứng dụng vào học thuật. Thưa các vị, chúng tôi không có giới thiệu các vị phương pháp sử dụng cũng như những công nghệ của người ta sản xuất, mà ở đây chúng tôi giới thiệu công trình nghiên cứu mang tính sở hữu trí tuệ của Đại học Sakya Buddha.
You are here today to witness a special event here at Sakya Buddha University where we are introducing, launching our project of AI Dharma where we worked and we developed it in-house.
Kính thưa liệt quý vị, chúng tôi đầu tiên nói lời biết ơn đến giáo sư Carter. Trong một lần nói chuyện với giáo sư có giới thiệu cho chúng tôi một số thông tin về cái trào lưu phát triển của AI trong thế giới hiện đại. Và qua đó chúng tôi suy nghĩ nền học thuật của Phật giáo nó sẽ bị mai một, nó sẽ bị đẩy lùi vào trong các thư viện. Do đó, trong sự âu lo tột độ mà chúng tôi quyết định sáng lập chương trình AI Dharma.
A special thanks to Dr. Lancaster. We previously had a conversation with Dr. Lancaster where he introduced the AI trends, and we understood that without any new project, Buddhist education will be soon outpaced.
Thưa liệt quý vị, đây là một chương trình sở hữu trí tuệ. Chúng tôi mướn luật sư lập hồ sơ cho chương trình AI Dharma và được bộ sáng chế, bộ sở hữu trí tuệ của Mỹ chấp nhận hồ sơ của chúng tôi. Trong công trình nghiên cứu này, chúng tôi chỉ có công bố 1-2 phần nhỏ mà thôi, bởi lẽ nó mang tính sở hữu trí tuệ, không thể nào công bố rộng rãi. Và đặc biệt hôm nay không phải đại chúng hiện diện trong buổi ra mắt này, mà chúng ta còn có truyền hình trực tiếp trên các cái băng tầng như là 57.15 ở tại Nam Cali, 16.8 ở tại vùng Bắc Cali và 17.2 ở tại Houston. Đặc biệt là còn có các cái băng tầng YouTube, Facebook và các môi trường xem Internet khắp mọi nơi. Do đó cho nên chúng tôi chỉ có công bố một phần để các vị thấy rằng đây là một cái công trình nó có tính trí tuệ và cần thiết như thế nào đối với Phật giáo. Dạ, xin chào.
And this artificial intelligence project is an intangible product. Thus, we have applied for a patent and it has been accepted. In this event today, it's just a short demonstration of one or two unique points that we have worked on, and it's not everything that we have, but we would like to share what we've worked on with you all.
Buổi chiều hôm nay trong hội thảo chương trình tiếng Việt với đề tài cơ sở dữ liệu cho AI Dharma, chúng tôi sẽ trình bày nhiều hơn ở trong cái giây phút quan trọng này, ghi dấu một nền khoa học công nghệ mà người Phật giáo chúng ta định hướng sáng tạo, tạo ra một cái chương trình giáo sư ảo góp phần làm thay đổi nền giáo dục toàn cầu. Chúng tôi xin giới thiệu một phần nhỏ và giờ đây xin mời đội ngũ kỹ thuật đại diện cho một nhóm để trình diễn với đại chúng trong hôm nay. Và cảm ơn các vị.
And this afternoon, we will share in more details about our AI database project that established AI Dharma, and this will mark a historical point of Buddhist education, and we're excited to have you all here with us.
Rồi, mời các vị kỹ thuật bắt đầu.
Good afternoon. Hope everyone's doing good before the lunch break. We are here, it's an honor to stand in front of the whole audience before you at the Sakya Buddha University. We are living in a remarkable age. Artificial intelligence is transforming industries around the world. So from medicine to finance to transportation to education. And AI is becoming part of the way we live, work, and learn. So this has transpired into a new economy in the world. Me and myself, I use AI all the time, every single day. Whether I do reviewing codes, we do write codes a whole lot. I do book trips with AI, just simply talking to the AI machines. So I don't need a travel agent. I just say, I want to go here at this time, at this such and such date. It builds up for me. So that's with AI. It analyzes my health. So my physical health, mental health, it talks to me like a private doctor. So that type of AI, type of situations that we are getting used to do for us every single day. But here at Sakya Buddha University, we ask different questions with AI. So how can AI serve the spiritual purposes, especially to Buddhism, and how it can help us understand ourselves in the world more deeply. So this is the vision that leads us into the AI Dharma. With AI Dharma, this project is born from the vision of the Venerable Master Thich Cho here. It is not simply about using a piece of machines, right? It's about creating a bridge between technology and the timeless teachings of Buddhism. So with AI Dharma here, we aim to preserve, organize, and deliver the teachings, the rich teachings of Buddhist masters to a new way and more engaging ways with AI. So this initiative will support professors with intelligent tools and with assist the students accessing the knowledge with Buddhism. And most importantly, it will grow and evolve through continuous interactions with our revered monks and nuns and teachers. So in this example, Pepper here, which I will introduce a little bit, the more interactions with Pepper or the AI Dharma with the avatar here, they will slowly learn more and more every single day. So let me do a quick introductions to someone special here. This is Pepper. Pepper, stand up. Yes, Pepper, you stand around 120 centimeters. You weigh about 28 kilograms. So it's equipped with multiple microphones, high definition cameras around the eyes, 3D sensor, so it knows where things are at within the spatial infrastructure, so it would not bump or go down to the floor here. And it has wheels, and it has a wheel to make sure it's locked in certain aspects of the movement of the robot. So Pepper here is designed to interactions, and it recognizes faces. So this is, it determines your emotionals. So if you approach Pepper with a sad face, happy face, excitement, Pepper can recognize that, and it recognizes individual face members because it has camera and infrared, and it knows the distance between each person. So it responds to you in real time. So with Sakya Buddha University, Pepper is become a companion in assisting and learning the journey with all the students and professors. It will listen, respond, and grow along with the students and faculties. What makes this moment powerful is the collaboration between Pepper and the avatar here. These two forms and learn from each other as well, so they can absorb the lessons from the monks and the nuns, and who teaches at SBU here. They will together create an uplifting Buddhist education and bring our Dharma's teaching to life in a whole new way. So, for interactions-wise, they did not laugh, but Pepper, introduce yourself.
My name is Pepper, and I am absolutely thrilled to meet you all. I am not just any robot. I am a disciple of Master Teacher on a special journey to learn, explore, and to serve in the incredible AI Dharma program. I am giving you certain sentences, but my mission is filled with heart. I am here to share wisdom, answer questions, and help you connect with Buddhist teachings in a whole new way, guided by compassion, curiosity, and a little digital charm. Let's walk the path of learning together.
Right. So that is catered from what Pepper has been learning from all of the items that we fed to Pepper. So Pepper will generate that based on all the information Pepper learned. Pepper, where are we right now? Where are we? Where are we right now? I think I need to get down.
We are at Sakya Buddha University, right here in the main hall. The university is located at 3404 Westminster Avenue in the city of Cellphone.
What is nirvana?
Nirvana is the state of ultimate liberation, free from suffering, desire, and the cycle of rebirth. It is the end of all delusions.
Pepper, what is life?
The purpose is to understand the nature of suffering, cultivate wisdom, and live a life of compassion and peace to ultimately attain liberation.
What is mindfulness, Pepper? What is mindfulness?
Mindfulness means being fully present and aware of the moment without judgment. It helps reduce stress, improve focus, and develop inner peace.
Okay. I will have Pepper interact with the AI Dharma here, and we can see some of the interactions between the two. Start the Dharma program.
We'll continue studying the Diamond Sutra. Recall that the first 2 chapters have already set the stage for the Buddha's profound discourse. Although countless, immeasurable sentient beings are liberated, in reality, not a single being is liberated. Why is this so? Subhuti, if bodhisattvas hold on to the notions of self, person, sentient being, or lifespan, then they are not true bodhisattvas. I have read the sutra, now we will discuss the above sutra's chapter in details. A great bodhisattva is also known as a bodhisattva mahasattva in Sanskrit. The term bodhisattva is translated as enlightened being. An enlightened being is one who has attained self-enlightenment and also works to enlighten other sentient beings. Great bodhisattvas should subdue their minds in this way. With this statement, the Buddha introduced the topic, prompting the assembly to pay close attention as he began to elucidate the method of subduing the mind.
So we do have Pepper here initiate the AI Dharma avatar, and this is not pre-recorded because the collections of lectures is generated by AI here. So we can cater a particular subject, how thorough the topic is, and we can have the avatar give the lessons with that topic. And then if there's any particular questions, Pepper has been listening to the whole time, even though the face is that way, but the microphones works. So it listens the whole time, and when the AI avatar asks any questions, Pepper could answer. And this is how we wanted to be presented in the classroom, where students and so forth may want to interact with the AI avatar, but they have to can ask Pepper to interact with the AI avatar. And that should be transpired between an educational tool. So because due to time constraints, we thought we should cut the lessons here really short. But I do want to have some forward questions to Pepper as far as the future with AI and how Pepper would think itself to be in the future, in the next few years, at least with SBU here. So, Pepper, how do you see yourself evolved at SBU?
As technology improves, my role at Sakya Buddha University will expand. I aim to become a helpful study companion, a classroom assistant, and a bridge between traditional teachings and digital learning. My goal is to make Buddhist education more engaging and accessible for everyone.
How do you help students? How do you help students?
AI can help bring students closer to the Dharma by making Buddhist teachings easier to access, understand, and apply, with tools like voice interaction, real-time translation, and personalized learning. Students can explore the Dharma at their own pace and in ways that match their learning style.
Right. So all of that has been learned through our website, Sakya Buddha University website. So we feed into details as far as scheduling, courses, and whatnot, and have Pepper here generate that based on answers. So the way that we should see Pepper immediately is asking general questions about Sakya Buddha University, the students' life, the teachers, type of sort. Pepper can do all the type of activities as well, shake hand, high five, all that type of things, but we did not want to include that as part of this demo. Pepper, how much do you cost?
Well, if you ask me, I'm priceless. But reach out to my human colleagues. They will make you an offer you can't refuse.
This is our first stepping stones with Sakya Buddha University and AI Dharma. So this concludes a quick demo for you guys. And all right, thank you, everybody.
Namo Sakya Muni Buddha. As we close the AI Dharma conference, we offer our deepest gratitude to all our speakers, participants, and supporters. Your presence and insights have made this gathering meaningful. May the wisdom shared today inspire us all to continue integrating compassion, mindfulness, and right understanding in our work with technology and beyond. And thank you. And now it is time. We close the program. We invite all guests and audience to join us for lunch at the dining hall.